the Member of Parliament for Othaya constituency. His impeccable leadership qualities endeared him to the people of Othaya, who re-elected him to Parliament in all the subsequent elections held in the years 1979, 1983, 1988, 1992, 1997, 2002, and 2007, when he served his final term and retired in March 2013. The late retired President Mwai Kibaki leaves an indelible imprint in the history of Parliament of Kenya as the longest-serving Member of Parliament. He has in his honor a half a century of service to the nation as a Member of Parliament, spanning from the year 1963, when he was first elected, until his retirement in March 2013. Honourable members, during his political career as a Member of Parliament, he rose through the political ranks to become an assistant minister, vice president, leader of official opposition, and crowned his exemplary political career by becoming the third president of the Republic of Kenya, where he served for 2 terms, which is the constitutional limit. Having reached the highest political pinnacle, His Excellency President Mwai Kibaki honorably exited politics upon handing over the reins of power to the incumbent president, His Excellency Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta. He exuded rare dedication to duty that even after rising to the presidency, the late retired President Mwai Kibaki would still find time to come to the chamber and sit in the National Assembly in his capacity as Member of Parliament for Othaya constituency to articulate issues of concern to his constituents and of mutual benefit to the Kenyans at large. In him rests an unmatched fallen hero who shall forever be remembered for his gentlemanly and non-confrontational leadership style. Honourable members, in his first term as a Member of Parliament, the late retired President Mwai Kibaki's standing as an economist earned him appointment as an Assistant Minister for Finance and Chairman of the Economic Planning Commission in 1963. Later on, in 1966, he was elevated to the position of Minister for Commerce and Industry, a position in which he served until 1969, when he was appointed Minister for Finance and Economic Planning. In 1978, he was appointed Vice President and served until March 1988. When Section 2A of the former Constitution was repealed in December 1991, following political agitation for multi-party democracy that was inspired by the wind of change from one-party politics to multi-party democratic parties that was blowing across the African continent, the late third president resigned from government and the ruling party, KANU, and founded the Democratic Party of Kenya. This bold decision marked a new trajectory in the political career of the late retired President Kibaki. He joined the presidential race in the first multi-party general elections in 1992, in which he came fourth. He contested for the presidency again in the subsequent general elections of 1997, where he came second to the late President Moi and became the leader of the official opposition in the National Assembly. In 2002, the late retired third president, made another stab at the presidency on the National Alliance Rainbow Coalition, NARC, party, and won with an astounding landslide majority, becoming Kenya's third president. He was re-elected president for the second term in 2007 under the Party of National Unity. Once again, members, let me allow the members at the door to make their way in. Honourable members, the late retired third president will be remembered for major milestones that transformed the country's economic, social, and political landscape. When he took oath of office as president in December 2002, the late retired President Mwai Kibaki committed to turn around the country's economy. He approached leadership from a people-centric perspective that was aimed at improving the quality of lives of the people. He shall forever be remembered for his famous quotes that, in the quotes, leadership is a privilege to better the lives of others. It is not an opportunity to satisfy personal greed, close the quotes. Guided by this philosophy, the late retired President Kibaki midwifed several reforms in Kenya's governance architecture in order to realign it for accelerated service delivery. He shall also be remembered for spearheading the entrenchment of ideals of accountability and transparency that led to the creation of the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission, the precursor to the Kenya Anti-Corruption Authority, now renamed the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, to enforce transparency and accountability in government and government operations. In terms of economic development, the late retired third president is credited for formulating an economic recovery strategy that put the country on the pedestal for becoming a middle-income economy. The late retired third president's economic model led to a sharp rebound in the economy and was characterized by unprecedented economic boom, growth, and development. Indeed, you may all recall and remember that within the first term of his presidency, Kenya's GDP rose from a low of 0.6% in 2003 to about 9% in 2007. He also embraced self-reliance by increasingly funding the national budget from internally generated resources such as increased tax revenue collections, hence reducing Kenya's dependence on donor aid. Honourable members, the late retired President Mwai Kibaki made momentous contribution to infrastructure development in the country. He shall be remembered for ambitiously rebuilding, modernizing, and expanding Kenya's infrastructure. During his tenure, he accomplished flagship infrastructure projects such as the Thika Superhighway and various bypasses around Nairobi City. He also initiated other key projects like the Lamu Port South Sudan Ethiopia Transport (LAPSET) Corridor project and the Standard Gauge Railway (SGR), later successfully implemented by the current administration. The late retired third president will also be remembered for his progressive economic policies that led to exponential rise in microfinance institutions and access to financing, which spurred economic development in the country. It was also during his tenure that the constituency's development fund, with the full support of the 9th Parliament, was introduced, and today, as the forerunner to the devolved fund, the CDF has immensely improved the quality of lives of many people in the country, and more particularly is to be noticed in many regions that have in the past been deemed marginalized. Honourable members, the late retired third president will also be remembered for the boom in the telecommunications sector. It was during his time that he laid the foundation for growth in mobile telecommunications and internet connectivity that has positioned Kenya as a mobile and ICT innovations hub. In the education sector, the late retired President Kibaki will forever be celebrated for introducing free primary education in 2003, during which year about 2 million new pupils who would not otherwise have gone to school were enrolled into primary schools. The progressive implementation of free primary education immensely contributing to the realization of universal primary education in the country and laying the firm foundation for the rollout of tuition-free day secondary education, which presently guarantees a 100% transition from primary to secondary schools. His administration also expanded access to university education by granting charters to several university colleges across the country to become full-fledged universities. The late retired President Kibaki will also be remembered for his role in the constitution-making process in Kenya. Despite the failed attempt in 2005, the late retired third president remained resilient, successfully navigating the divergent constitutional views and bequeathed Kenya a new constitution promulgated on the 27th of August 2010. Honourable members, in order to consolidate the socio-economic and political gains made during his presidency and provide a development roadmap for posterity, the late President Kibaki developed the Kenya Vision 2030, an economic blueprint to serve as a vehicle for accelerating and transformation of the country into a newly industrializing middle-income country by the year 2030. The late retired President Kibaki remains an enigma and a steady people-centric leader who evidently cared most about public good and not personal gain. He was an epitome of gentlemanly and non-confrontational leadership that inspired a sense of duty to serve and not to be served. Honourable members, on behalf of the National Assembly, the Parliamentary Service Commission, and indeed on my own behalf, I pay tribute to this great fallen Kenyan hero and convey our sincere condolences to the family, friends, and the nation at large for this great loss of a true statesman. Further, I take this singular opportunity to thank Kenyans of all walks of life who have managed to come and pay their last respects to the departed former head of state, whose body is lying in state here in Parliament. Honourable members, in honor of the selfless service rendered to the community and the nation by the late retired third President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Justin Mwai Kibaki, I request that we all stand and observe a moment of silence in his honor.